So in today's video we are going to be making these really cute little flower pot pendants. Let's go! Right, we are back. I'm going to be showing you something that I come up with quite a while ago now. It's really super easy to do. You can do this with 2-part resin or you can do it with UV resin. So you do need to do it in 2 stages regardless of what resin that you're using. So I'm going to be using the UV resin for this, and these would sell really well and they are quick to make. You can batch make these as long as you've got all the bits. So I got these little bottles in a set that I bought quite some time ago, and I come up with an idea with the corks. Now you can buy these corks on their own on Amazon. I will dig out the links and I'll put them in the description, but what we want to do is just basically cut these in half so you get 2, and that will become a flower pot. And then we're just going to go through some dried flowers that I've got. I do have a large variety of colours and styles, but they do need to fit inside the bezel. So I'm going to stick with one of these small flowers here. Then we need to make a stalk and some tiny little leaves. So we're going to start by getting our bezel tape. We're just going to cut a small section off there and just put that upside down. Make sure there's no fingerprints in the way. I've got a bit of debris in there, but it doesn't matter. You can be a bit more tidy with yours. I'm just showing you for the video. Right, so what we're going to do now is just make our design just to the side, just so we can lay it out and make sure that everything's going to fit. So I'm going to get my tweezers and go down. Hopefully this one will fit inside the bezel. And just measure that up. Yep, that's going to fit nicely. So we'll just put that there, and you can already see we have the beginning of our design. So now what we need is a stem. So again, I'm going in the same packet, just rooting around to find something that's long enough. So this will do. It's a good candidate. And then I'm just going to trim off. Where should we go? Quite close to the stem. We don't want it too thick, so we can just pull off that. We can cut it down as we go if we need to. But there we go, we have a stem for our flower. As always, massive shout out to my channel members. Thank you very much. I've got some new channel members which have recently joined. Thank you for signing up. That link is in the description box below, along with all of my other social media links and the links for the products that you're seeing in the video. Okay, so now we have the beginning. What we need to do now is just find some suitable leaves. So this is a different pack, and I'm just gonna pull off some from one of the stems, and again we can just pluck these off so we get the size that we want. So we don't want them to be too overpowering or too big. And just take off a couple of the smaller parts of the bigger leaf, like those. So now we have all our little bits that we need. See what I mean about how quick and easy this is? If you're using 2-part, you would just be pouring in your first layer of your resin now. Same as the UV, what I'm doing. Just pour in a small amount and just let that spread out. Or you can use your little tool if you've got one, or a little stick, cocktail stick. Just move that around and make sure there's no bubbles stuck in the corners as you go. Really is super easy. Anyone can do this. The bubbles will tend to be in the corners. You could do this with different shaped bezels. Doesn't have to be this one. But the bubbles will kind of accumulate around the edges. and the corners. Get off! And then just very safely with our little torch, just give, oh no! Oh dear, that is a big whoopsie. Always make sure that your flour is away from your bezel. Oh dear, I'm going to carry on. This is brilliant. I'm going to carry on. That is a brilliant, brilliant whoops. That poor flour. We're going to move that aside. Come on, Dan. Compose yourself. I just hope I've got a spare one. Right, let's pause the video. You didn't see that. So, what we need to do now is, first of all, just put in our stalk. Luckily my UV resin hasn't set where it's been sitting there. These things happen, you know. It's not always plain sailing. So we're just going to submerge that into our resin. And then we go in with our plant pot. Just place that over the stem. Like so. And just make sure things are centered correctly. Can't believe I did that. And then we go in with our non-burnt flour and just place that over the top. This was the last one. Luckily I had one left. Again, just make sure there's no bubbles clinging to it and that it is centered. So if you're using 2-part, you would then let this cure after we add the leaves, obviously. Come on, center. That'll do. So now with our small little leaves, hopefully you can see that stem is floating away. Just position those so they're touching the stem. Stay. Can be a little bit fiddly, but it's worth it. That will do. So yeah, with your 2-part resin, you let that cure before adding the next layer, otherwise the flour will float, and so will the cork and the leaves. Everything will just come to the surface. So once they are in place, I'm just going to turn on my handy little UV light, which is plugged into my power bank, and just give that a minute to cure. Okay, once that has cured, we then flip our lamp. Because the light won't penetrate through the flour itself, we just turn on our lamp and rest that over the back, and we can just move this around, make sure it's underneath the cork and behind the flour head. Those are the main areas where the light wouldn't have cured. And just give that another minute or two to cure on that side. Okay, hopefully nothing else will go wrong. So that has cured on both sides now. So this will be where you add your second layer. Now this part is really important. It will be easier with 2-part to keep coming back and checking, but I'll talk you through it. So we just now apply our second layer, our final layer of resin, whether it's UV or 2-part. And just let that flow down the sides of the cork. I mean, you could cover the cork if you wanted to, but you're at risk of a lot of bubbles. So I'm going to leave my little pot exposed a little bit. Adds a different kind of vibe to the piece as well. Kind of 3D plant pot. But just be careful because obviously that part is exposed and cork is fragile. Just manipulate that all the way down into the corners and around that pot. So you can already see, I don't know if you can see, there's a bubble forming. So what's happening is the resin is sinking, or the flour is absorbing that resin and then releasing these air bubbles. So with 2-part, just come back every 5 or so minutes and just very gently tap the flour head just to release any of those trapped bubbles. But with UV, obviously if I left this for 5 minutes, it's probably going to cure. So I'm going to use a small tub or container just to cover that. I'm going to give it a few minutes just to kind of allow that resin to sink into the flower head and release those air bubbles. And what I'm actually going to do is just give this cork a fine cover, thinking about it, because I don't want that to break very easily. It will still sit above the rest of the piece, but again, with this, there's going to be lots of bubbles coming out from the cork as it absorbs the resin. So you can see some bubbles just on the surface. Please don't do. I'm very likely going to torch from a better distance this time. Just be careful if you're using torches. We all know how it can go wrong. Just make sure there's still quite a few bubbles just sitting below. We need to wait for those to rise. Okay, we are now ready for our final cure. All our bubbles are popped. I'm just hoping the heat doesn't react and cause some bubbles. I've only ever done this by keeping the cork exposed. Never done it with covering it with resin. So I'm just going to give that about a minute just to cure that. I'm just keeping an eye on any bubbles that might start popping up. Okay, we did sadly get a tiny little bubble form on the right hand side of the pot, but it is barely noticeable. So now we can just slowly and carefully peel away our bezel tape, pull it at an angle, probably have given this another cure on the underside, but I can do that after I've peeled this off. Just like so. And then I'm just going to place that down and then just give that another cure on the back. I should have done it with the tape on really. So there we have it, all finished, all ready to dress on any kind of necklace you want. Shame about that tiny bubble, but for the purpose of the video I'm not that worried. Really simple. You could batch make these if you wanted to. Just be very careful if you're using a torch. This mat is actually designed for soldering, so it can withstand heat, so just be careful making sure that you've got no paper around, no dried flowers. The poor thing has it's seen better days, but I'm sure I'll find something I can use this for still. And yeah, as always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button for me. If you're not signed into your YouTube, please sign in and hit that sub button. 50% of my viewers still haven't hit that button, so that really will help 2023 become a great year for the channel. And I'll see you for the next one. It's been funny. Bye for now.